Super. BS.
Well, now we are back. It is me, lovable baby boy Brink, and we are here to bring the news to you. Wait, we? I just said my name. That's only a me. Who am I joined by? Who's the villainous, shadowy figure who lurks in the background? Who are you?
I'm Brank's evil twin, Jank.
Jay. No!
Yeah. Otherwise
He's back!
known as Jay Squeeze, always bringing you that fresh news, you know?
Jay Squeeze and Jank, do you hear that?
Yeah.
That's the garbage truck coming to take you out, okay? They
Okay.
they are
They're
ready
outside
to
your-
take out the trash.
They're outside
no,
your
they're
house.
Outside, they're outside
so
of your
let me,
house.
Let me just
Nobody
point
knows
that
where they're
out.
outside of.
Yeah.
No, nobody knows.
Okay.
We are Super BS, a podcast about video games mostly. This episode, I'm actually going to tell you what we're talking about beforehand, so nothing's a surprise, so you know exactly where to go. We're actually going to kick it off by talking a lot about Gamescom. There was a bunch of stuff that happened. Before we get to that, we're going to talk about the Xbox Bethesda showcase, which, yeah. And then we got to talk to you about the big game of the week, Psychonauts 2. I'm pretty excited. How are you feeling right now, my bro?
About Psychonauts 2 or
Yeah, well, actually mainly about Psychonauts 2 because
like
that's a
national
blast.
politics?
But
What are we getting
mainly
into?
politics. That's my favorite thing is national and international politics. Let's talk about that. That's the fun thing that all the people want to.
Got
They
it.
go to video games to hear about politics. They don't want to escape it. They
you
go
think
to
we'll
it.
ever have a president simulator?
They already have that, dude. You never
Do they?
played what is it? Citizens of Earth? Where you're the
No.
president of Earth. It's like a Earthbound based RPG.
No, but I
and you
want
go
one. I want one that takes place in 2021. So like, I want to be able to like make all the
play
choices, but
Tropico,
not
okay?
make all the choices. You know?
Yeah, play Tropico, man, because that will do that for you where you will play a dictator in Cuba. That is what a president does now in the year 2021. So they have lots of those games, Tropico. Okay, let's kick things off by not discussing politics, but by talking about maybe the most politically boring thing I have ever sat through in my life. The Xbox and Bethesda Gamescom showcase. We'll call it that.
All right.
Did you watch this?
I didn't watch it. I just caught the highlights. So take it away, my man.
Yeah, so I did watch it. I was free that day, and I was very excited for it. We had discussed last week that we were thinking that would be when Halo Infinite's release date was announced, or
It was
maybe
leaked
they would announce
beforehand.
yeah, maybe. No, this was the day before Gamescom. So this was like Tuesday, and then Gamescom opening night live was Wednesday. But yeah, we talked about it the week before. And we were discussing maybe there'll be like a Bethesda thing. You were like, oh, maybe they'll show Starfield. I was like, no, but maybe Wolfenstein, blah, blah. We had hopes, right? Like we kind of had hopes that there was going to be just something cool, that it was going to be a little bit better than what it ended up being, which is, I'm trying to even find a list where they discuss what was announced. And I have to put announced in quotes because I personally don't think they announced anything new besides like one indie game at this thing. It was mainly just features, like extremely long features of games that are already out or close to being out.
Yeah, Forza Horizon 5. They talked about Dying Light 2, Flight Simulator.
So that was probably the best part was Dying Light 2 because it was fairly short and it showed gameplay. One of the biggest issues I had with this whole thing was like very little gameplay. There was 20 minutes where they spent talking about Flight Simulator, a game that's already out on both Xbox and PC. And a lot of it was about like a new flight path. And they didn't show very much. It was just people sitting in a chair talking to each other. It was almost bizarre after their E3 showcase, to be honest.
You know what looks kind of cool, though? Okay, so Flight Simulator actually is the first game to have an official, like, Series X exclusive case if you buy it physically. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen. I've seen what the case looks like because they have that coming for Forza and Halo as well.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. What did look cool at Gamescom was that Into the Pit. Did you see that trailer?
Oh, yeah, it's like a kind of an indie
It's like
FPS
a retro looking
shooter.
game. Yeah, it looks kind
That
of
was
cool.
one of the newer things. So here, let's run down what they discussed. They kicked it off with Dying Light 2, which I thought, wow, that's killer. I was really hoping that was gonna have like a Games Pass logo at the very end and be like, wow, Dying Light 2 Game Pass, that's huge.
Yeah.
Then so like immediately I'm like, whoa, this is gonna be a good show. Like I was very, very, very excited. I thought, man, Microsoft's gonna nail it again. We're gonna get another E3. This one's gonna have a little bit more discussion. I missed that Aaron Greenberg said something along the lines of check your expectations because it's gonna be, I guess he said this. I missed that.
Like amazing?
So I didn't
Is that
realize
what
it
he
was like,
getting at?
well, it's going to be amazing. He said,
Yeah, he was
check
like,
your expectations
gonna be
and then double them.
Yeah, Sony's about to just go out of business. The fire sale has started.
Yeah, Zelda
Here's
Breath of
what
the
we
Wild
got.
2's Xbox exclusive,
Xbox
first announced
exclusive.
here.
We just bought
Game
Nintendo.
Pass. Yeah.
Croc is coming back.
So, yes, Croc. That's the main thing, actually. That was how they ended the show.
Everybody wants Croc.
So Flight Simulator was what kind of checked my expectations because that was about 20 minutes. After that, they did a really neat little montage, which is like a bunch of Humble Games. I guess Humble Games is a publisher. They have a bunch of stuff coming to Game Pass. It's a bunch of little indie titles. One of those games I've already discussed on this podcast, Dodgeball Academia. But they showed some other stuff that's coming there. Then they showed Into the Pit, which you were kind of about. What do you think that stands out about it?
I don't know. It's just like it looks fast. It reminds me of like the fast-paced gameplay of like a Metal Slug game, but more like 3D. I don't know. It's just like, and it has like Unreal Tournament vibes to it, you know. And like I'm kind of digging that feeling.
Okay, speaking of Unreal Tournament, that's a good time for us to segue because we missed talking about this entirely. QuakeCon just finished, and they released Quake Remastered, which QuakeCon, you know, Bethesda, big Bethesda showcase.
Wait, who's Bethesda?
Who's Bethesda? I don't even know who they are. Anyways, they just released Quake Remastered on everything, and it's free with Game Pass, of course. So Bethesda did something earlier. So with that in mind, you know, I think this was still called, no, it just says Xbox Gamescom Showcase. So I guess they did not mention Bethesda as far as I know. I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't seem like they mentioned Bethesda. So I missed that part. I thought Bethesda was part of this as well. So we will not be talking about any Bethesda titles at all because they did QuakeCon the week before, and that's where they announced the Skyrim remaster for $1 billion. Now, I don't know if we discussed that on here, but I do think that is funny that they're remaking Skyrim again.
So I thought that the Xbox One re-release was going to be my last time playing this, but I'm kind of tempted now to buy it again.
The fishing got you hot and heavy, or like what? Because they have very few things.
It's not even the fishing. I just like, I don't know. I have such good memories of playing that game, and I guess like I wouldn't mind going back to it and getting new achievements.
I guess for me, the only thing that will get me to even turn it on is if because it's crazy. It's not part of Game Pass, which is very strange because it's a Bethesda thing.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was about to say, so if the upgrade for it is very, very cheap, like $10 or less, I will do it because there is an upgrade path. We don't know what it costs yet.
They are doing an upgrade path. Okay, I thought it was just like a straight up new game because it's coming out on new consoles.
But there's nothing new to it besides fishing. Like, I mean, so Skyrim Anniversary Edition upgrade path. I'm going to try to figure this out while we're here, but I believe it's not a free upgrade, but there is a way. Yeah, it says not free, but there is a way to upgrade to it. And that's the same for Game Pass subscribers. It's going to be kind of like it sounds like a DLC model. You know, for Game Pass, when you get a game on it, you don't get the DLC for free most of the time.
Did you ever play the Switch version of that game?
I did. I played a little bit of it. It was fun, but it was not my favorite way to play it, so I dropped it and I've never picked it up again.
So I played about like 6 hours of it, and then I got to Markarth, and it was so glitchy that I couldn't get past the main story in Markarth because it was glitched.
Do you know if they ever patched it? I really don't know much about the Switch title.
I don't know. I got frustrated, and then I traded it in when Mario Odyssey came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got that as a gift. I played about 4 hours of it. I realized I was like, I just don't care as much about Skyrim as I did in 2011, where I dumped 100+ hours into it.
Yeah,
got every achievement.
I think I was at like 180 hours in that game, and that was at like a time in my life when I actually had time to play games, like massive amounts of time.
Yeah, I don't want to turn this show into the Skyrim show, but there are things I liked a lot about Skyrim originally that I do not like now that we are 10 years out, and they are not concerned with fixing those things. I feel like even at the time, the combat was not incredible. It felt very much like you're swinging a knife at butter, and nothing felt like it landed. Nothing felt really like
that's how Morrowind was. Remember, they didn't even like have sound effects when you were hitting people. It just kind of, you had to look at the health gauge to see if it was going down.
Yeah, for sure. That doesn't excuse, though, the fifth version of that game a
definitely
8-year-old
remake
or whatever.
It was nice to actually be able to hear yourself swinging a weapon as opposed to like...
Well, they did that stuff in Oblivion, too. Oblivion and Skyrim's combat is very, very similar. The only difference, I believe, is in Skyrim, you can just dual wield everything. If I remember correctly, everything's equipable on each hand.
Yeah, if you notice, too, there's not a lot of like graphical increase between the two games, which was kind of sad.
Yeah, that's like I said. We could talk about Bethesda all day. They have a lot of issues. I'm glad that they're purchased by Microsoft. Hopefully, this new engine that they've built looks better and plays better and runs better.
Yeah. I thought Super BS stands for the Super Bethesda Stuff Cast.
Sure, that's what it is. Yeah. I mean, that's what it should just be is Bethesda, Skyrim, Assassin's Creed, and Final Fantasy, because those are the only three things we discussed.
All right. So we're settled. We're moving in a new direction, everybody. Thanks for
essentially
tuning in.
A fan cast for three things where we talk about all of our problems with those things. Final fan cast. I'm sure there's a fan cast for Final Fantasy. You could probably make it with.
That's a good podcast name.
Final fan cast.
Final fan cast.
It probably already exists.
It doesn't exist. The Final Empire fan
delete this episode.
Cast.
Delete this episode. We got to get that name.
All right, we got to TM this stuff right away. All right.
TM. Age of Empires 4, back to the Xbox Gamescom showcase, Xbox Bethesda, whatever. I don't even know what the title of it was, but whatever it was called, back to that showcase. They did not show nearly any gameplay for this, but they spent a lot of time talking about trebuchets.
Yeah, and a documentary style videos, right? They put out a bunch of those.
Like a BBB C tier History Channel doc about trebuchets and why they work in the game. I love Age of Empires. If I ever get a PC that's strong enough to play Age of Empires 4, it's free with Game Pass. I would love to play it.
I can play it.
This was great. There you go. Yeah. He could play it. Yeah. He could tell us. It comes out October 28th. This did not do anything for them. We'll get to the actual opening night live later. They at least showed a trailer there. So this thing was wild. This is probably one of the biggest pieces of news, though, from the whole Xbox Gamescom showcase was that Xbox
Game Boy
Cloud
is on the cloud now.
Yes, the Game Boy is on the cloud. Yes. Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming to Xbox Series X and Xbox One. So what that's going to mean is you don't have to wait to download stuff. If you've got a very fast internet connection, you can essentially just play the games the same as you would on your phone, on your computer, anything using xCloud. So honestly, that's kind of neat because there's a bunch of these games where I might just try it out for 1 minute, and if I like it, download it.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong, as I'm confused by this. Yeah. Does this mean that we don't need an Xbox Series X to play Series X games?
Correct.
So you can just, if you have an Xbox One, you can launch the... Okay. All right.
So do you have very fast internet connection? Because otherwise,
no, I don't.
You will have latency. That's the problem.
I don't own an Xbox One, but I'm just talking to the we know people who do. Like Big Dog still has an Xbox One, right? So, but he wants to
the
play.
Original or like
he has he got the launch edition.
And he's never thought of upgrading it to a more powerful one?
But like now he can play Series X stuff, so that's cool, and he doesn't have to buy a console.
Yeah, totally. We'll see what they put on there, like how it will work, but that is the concept. The idea is like you are going to be able to play Series X content on your Xbox One or whatever Xbox One family you have, One S, One X, and you won't have to have load times. But if your internet is slow by any means or not super fast, you are going to notice latency. So that is the trade-off. So for me, I will probably use this for some indies. You know, if there's some like indie game I want to just like turn on, sure. Yeah, I'll do that. And then if I actually like it, I'll download it. You know, because otherwise there's stuff like Myst, right? Myst just came to Xbox Game Pass, and I think PC Game Pass as well. And it is a game where like I would love to just turn that on for 20 minutes. I had to download it. It was only 8 gigs, but it's still like, that would be a great, hey, I want to turn this on, solve a puzzle. I'll probably never play it again. You know, the end to that. Wasteland 3, a game I actually talked about a lot on this show last year, is getting some DLC. I fell off that game hard because it's crazy complicated. And the DLC is coming out October 5th. I do not believe, I'm not sure it's the DLC is free with Game Pass. That's the hard part. Is,
they don't usually do free DLC, even if it's on Games Pass. You get a discount on it, but you don't usually get it for free.
You're correct in some ways, but later on in the show, they had free DLC for State of Decay 2, which it does sound like is part of Game Pass. So you will get this Homecoming or whatever it's called that will be part of the Game Pass content. So it's kind of like a free DLC. That's at least the way I heard it and understood it.
Okay.
There is a game called Stray Blade that I'm like looking at the trailer for right now. Like it looks like essentially, what was that game? Biomutant. It looks like a Biomutant.
It has
style.
a Biomutant feel to it.
Yeah, and that's a 2022 title, so that was an announcement.
Hopefully it'll be better, though, is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I still haven't played Biomutant yet. I'm waiting for it to go on like a deep sale because I do want to try it. Yeah. They then announced Crusader Kings 3. They're making a console version of it that will also be on PlayStation. Yeah, but it's coming to Xbox. I did not see if it's coming to Game Pass. However, the full version of Crusader Kings 3 is on PC Game Pass.
They have Big Dog. Remember, this was one of his games of the year last year.
Yeah, that's it. It's supposed to be a really neat game. I've never played it, so I don't really know anything about it. I don't know if it's the type of game for me, but reading about it just sounds hilarious. And then they spent probably one of the most sobering interviews I've ever seen, where they discussed with Tim Schafer and one of his coworkers, I don't know her role at the company, about Psychonauts 2. And it was the least funny, most sad and dour interview I've ever seen for a game that is about jokes and a happy, cartoony platform game. It was just bizarre. The game was coming out the next day, so it was like a really strange thing where they showed very little gameplay, but they spent a lot of time talking about the game, and it was, honestly, it was really insane in my mind. This was like, I was watching the Xbox showcase talked over by a group of dudes who used to be at Game Informer. They're called MinMax, and they could not understand how Tim Schafer and one of his colleagues were so unfunny. Not one joke, nothing happy. They didn't smile really.
What they talk about? What was
they just talked about Psychonauts 2 coming. I can't even remember because it was so boring. I just was like waiting for them to finish because I was hoping there was going to be something after. And there was. Probably the biggest thing besides xCloud for me in the whole showcase was the gunk. Do you remember the gunk?
Yeah, that was one that we saw a trailer for at E3 a couple of years ago, right?
Last year. It was with, it's an Xbox Series X game, and it might not have even been E3. It might have been one of the Series X launch title showcases or whatever. But it was dated. So it's from the dudes who do the SteamWorld games, SteamWorld Dig, SteamWorld Heist, SteamWorld Quest. It's called The Gunk. It's a 3D platformer. It's coming out in December. I don't know what it will be like. The video didn't look very fun, but that company has not put out a game I don't like. SteamWorld Dig's incredible. SteamWorld Dig 2 is an amazing Metroidvania. SteamWorld Heist is like a super fun 2D turn-based tactics game, and SteamWorld Quest is like a really, really great card game. So Yeah, they haven't made a stinker yet,
it
so I'm
looks
super
so
excited. That's
good.
coming to Game
And,
Pass in
like,
December. I don't know if we have the full date
oh,
yet,
hold
but
on.
super duper stoked
Hold
on
on.
that. And I
There we
didn't
go.
watch
All
this
right.
because
It
I feel like
looks
I've seen
so
enough to know I'm going
good.
to try
I'm so
it.
excited
They
for this
spent a
game.
lot of time with Forza Horizon 5. Did you see any of this stuff?
No,
Okay,
no.
you're muted, my bro. You were say that you were talking to me, but you got a little muty on you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what doesn't look good is the controller they're selling it with. Like, it is funny people are calling it the Rage controller, which totally makes sense. It's like a weird translucent yellow controller with like pink and blue, and the commercials like the cloud dusts like they promoted for Rage 2. It's funny. I'm not gonna get it, obviously. I'm not a big controller per game buying person anyways.
Not really.
It is.
There's nothing that I was gonna like.
That people are like, it's
super
the Rage
excited to go out and
controller,
play or go out and buy.
5.
You know, obviously the big ones. Forza.
Before we get to like the
I'm
big
excited
showcase,
to play,
anything
but, like,
stand
there's-
out of that stuff to you?
I don't know.
Like,
There hasn't.
outside
It
of
feels
the
like there
pick,
hasn't
we
been a
talked about
new
that.
like.
Was there anything where you're like, wow,
IP
this is
game that
big.
has the makings of a franchise in it for a long time? You know, so like. There wasn't anything shown that really made me feel like I wanted to go out and play it. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I'll probably check it out when it comes out, but nothing I'm jonesing for, you know?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, especially with that showcase. Like I said, the Gunk trailer didn't stick with me. I love that company that makes it, so I'm excited to play it. But yeah, that is a showcase that I could do without. We'll probably talk about it a little bit more after we do opening night live, only to contrast the two and to discuss some things about presentations and showcases before we get to our topic. But before we get to opening night live, I want to just bring this up. We talked about this game a couple weeks ago. Almost more than a month ago. EA did like their summer E3 style spectacular at the end of July, and they announced the Dead Space remake, and for some odd reason today was the day where they showed it off to like IGN and Game Informer and all those people. I haven't seen the trailer that they showed off or what they showed off to people, but I've seen some of the pictures, and it looks good. It looks real good.
It does.
It looks like Dead Space, but it looks good.
Yeah. Everything's like nice and crisp though. Even like looking at some of these side-by-side images, it kind of has that feeling of like the difference between like Halo Combat Evolved and Halo Anniversary, right? Where you can see there's all these details added into the walls and the doorways and the suit that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just looking at some of these pictures, like I haven't watched the trailer either, but looking at some of these pictures, like I don't know, like it feels scarier looking at all the veins coming out of the walls and the enemy types. I feel like more detail makes it look more terrifying, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I don't know if there is a trailer to go watch. It does seem like, I've checked out a few of these articles and nobody's posted any trailer that everybody could see in July, Like this might just be something for the journalistic companies that are large.
It might have been a behind closed doors type of thing.
Yeah, which is essentially like a Zoom meeting nowadays where they send people video and they share their screen. But yeah, I'm still excited. I still thought we should bring it up because it is one of the bigger things announced this year. I don't think it's coming out anytime soon, so I'm not like, oh man, I can't wait to play it. But, I could be wrong. I do feel like there was a rumor it was coming out early 2022, which by the time we're done talking about opening night live, people should realize if nothing gets pushed, 2022 is potentially going to be the best year of gaming since 2017. There's so
2017,
many big
that was
titles.
the Mario and Wolfenstein and all that.
Mario,
right?
Breath of the Wild, Persona 5, Nier Automata on PS4. Horizon Zero Dawn. Wow, what else was there? Yeah, Odyssey, Mario and Rabbids, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. There were pretty much 2017 was wild. Cuphead. It was Assassin's Creed Origins. Like, if you look at the 2017 list, it's like, wow, okay, they really put it all out. Okay, so let's get to the big thing before we get to talking us some Psychonauts 2. Jeff Keighley, he's becoming a name that I hear more and more I know about him. I never knew his name about 2-3 years ago when he was still hosting stuff. But since he's kind of like broken off and the Game Awards have become a place for a lot of cool trailers, I started following him more closely. And then his E3 summer press conference, we talked about that.
Yeah, he got a cease and desist order for streaming E3. That was funny.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I don't know if we discussed that on the show, but I did not personally know about that.
Yeah.
He's like, I think one of the best showcases you could always bank on, because like if I were to rank the summer E3 showcases, it would be Xbox and Bethesda, his, and then Nintendo, right? We discussed that earlier. And the Game Awards was like the best showcase from last year, probably because last year just was garbage for a lot of things. So Opening Night Live, needless to say, brought some fire, especially because he said he was not going to announce very many things. And it was mainly going to be deep dives of old things, which I'll admit I did not get a chance to watch this one live. And the second half seemed like it was pretty slow. But this first half, dude, even with some of the stuff spoiled a couple days early, it is bangers. Let's go through it and talk about it. This game was talked about literally 3 days before the company that made it, Volition, decided to put up a teaser for it. Saints Row, the reboot. It is coming February 22nd, 2022. The trailer was not that interesting, in my opinion. I don't know if you watched it, but I am excited. I always loved GTA clones. I thought Saints Row the third and Saints Row 4 were wonderful. I loved them. They were so much fun. You played any of those games?
I have not. My brother's a big fan, though. I know he'll be excited about that.
Yeah, I just can't believe how soon it is. February 2022. 2022. So yeah, I'm excited. I was very happy to start with that. The thing I didn't love is like a lot of these games like Redfall and a few of these others, it does seem to be focusing on 4-player co-op, and as we get older, that's less and less feasible. I hope it's still fun.
I wish we had all these 4-player co-op games when we were in high school.
It would have been incredible, but they did not do that at the time, you know. This specific article I'm reading from CNET does not have everything in the order it was shown. So I just want to throw that out there because this was way later. They then talked about Sifu. Do you remember that one from the PlayStation
that's right.
State of Play?
Yeah, I do.
So it looks really cool. It is developed by the guys who did that. What is that fighting game? Absolver. They did the open area with real live humans you'll fight. Anyways, it looks super dope. It is also coming February 22nd, 2022. So we got our PS5 lineup that was supposed to come this year is kind of slowly getting pushed into next. And you know, probably in a future episode, we will discuss like what's coming at the end of this year because a bunch of stuff got, you know, pushed around.
Nothing. What
are you talking about? There's some stuff. There will be some stuff. It's going to be a slower year, but there's still some stuff. Speaking of stuff, Far Cry 6. You know, I didn't get a chance to read the deep dive that dropped today. They talked about it a lot. Anyways, that's coming October 7th. I'm hoping it's good. We'll see. They're backing off a bit on the RPG stuff, which could be good or bad. I don't know what the hook is. I don't know what the game for that game is.
So I hope that I can play this game without like being overrun by political stuff. You know, that's like my one concern with this, especially since everything's so like politically charged these days. So I'm hoping I can play this game and not like, I don't know, feel like I'm turning on the news every day. So
if you are, I think it's going to be interesting news because the whole game should be about overthrowing a dictatorship where they are literally putting people's lives and essentially imprisoning them and doing hard things to them. So if it is trying to make a political message, man, this is wild to do it at this time in history.
Yeah.
So,
well, because from what I've read that it has a lot of like I guess American political stuff in it. So
we'll see. I definitely think, you know, the colloquial term woke, I think you're going to see a lot of that style of political messaging inside of it, you know, to varying degrees. But about like, you know, turn on your government if they're locking you in your house or putting you in prison, I don't think they're going to touch those things. because that's so we'll see. We will literally find out. I don't know if I'm picking it up day one. I'm going to wait to see what the reviews come in because like I said, taking out the RPG elements, I don't know what the hook's going to be, and it's kind of a bummer too. Cause like I liked Far Cry 4 a ton and we discussed this on the podcast. I did not like Far Cry 5 very much, and I hated the progression system.
Yeah, I enjoyed that game. Like
I remember. It was old Super BS. We talked about it at great length. You and Dr.
Can we
Donna.
talk about it for another hour? Is that okay?
We'll add it to the Ubisoft corner.
Yeah, I would like another hour of this Far Cry, but not forgotten,
Tell me what you actually liked about 5, though. What was fun to you?
The setting was fun. I liked the wilderness. I liked the being in the
Did you play 4?
Montana wilderness. Yes, I did play 4. All the Far Cry games have had fun settings. There's just something about being in Montana, and like that whole setting was fun to me because I've been there,
Yeah, it is really neat, but when you look at it outside of where they tell you it's taking place and the thing it's trying to be based on
is repetitive.
It feels, it also feels like everywhere else. If you go to the Himalayas, you're like, wow, this is cool. It takes place in the Himalayas. But if you look at Montana and the Himalayas in the Far Cry games, they're pretty similar outside of the building designs and the way some of the mountains are laid out. So they both have that river thing. My biggest beefs with that game, and I don't want to go too deep into it again, is I thought the progression system which was bad, which is kind of scaring me with 6, them saying they're taking out more RPG elements because they made it perk-based progression where you had to do certain things to unlock things. And then I also thought it lacked a real focus where it was just go do stuff, and then the bad guy will show up and you'll do the stuff to him, and everything felt pointless. But that was my opinion. I did think it was fun being in Montana for a bit, but I don't think it solved those other issues that they had. And I think those are real issues that I don't know if the setting of Cuba is going to take care of. We're going to have to see what they do,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still going to play it. I'm excited about it. I just
You're getting it no matter what. Even if it comes out and everybody's
absolutely.
this is a 7.
Yep, I'm going to buy 10 copies of it. I'm going to send 9 of them off to WADA to be graded, and it's just going to be great.
We didn't even get a chance to talk about this episode. We're going to have to find a different time to discuss it. But that WADA grading, potentially scamming thing that's going on is...
I know. I was watching some video about it. Yeah, it's crazy.
There's some documentaries on it. We'll discuss that in another episode when we get back to our Retro Rally Roundup because that is some wild stuff. Anyways, back to Opening Night Live. They talked about the game that had been rumored that I don't even think we've discussed on this podcast because the rumor was just hey, this is probably what's going to happen. There is a Marvel XCOM-like game coming out called Marvel's Midnight Suns. Firaxis, the company that makes XCOM, has said it will not share anything with XCOM, but it is still supposed to be a turn-based tactical game. So I have a feeling it's going to play very similar to XCOM, just with no permanent death. Your character, Wolverine's not going to die in it and then never be able to play again. But we'll know a ton more about that game literally when this podcast goes up. They're going to do a gameplay trailer finally tomorrow, September 1st, the day you're listening to this. So right now all we saw was a cinematic. Looks like it could be cool. I think their costumes are crazy dorky. I don't know if you're looking at the picture I'm looking at.
Sleek. They're so robotic. It's cool.
Oh, I hate that. That reminds me, especially the girl in the front, Hunter, she just reminds me of Immortals Phoenix Rising, after they redid it and it was the worst art style and stuff. So we'll see. Yeah. I low hopes, but I love the XCOM game, so I think that the gameplay will be good. But I don't know anything else about it.
Okay.
Finally, mid-show, we got the thing that I was and I think I said this on the podcast last time. I was you said maybe Halo might be announced at Opening Night Live with Jeff Keighley. I said, no way. That'd be the stupidest thing ever. Microsoft would never do it. So I apologize. I am the dummy here. Halo Infinite, they announced a Halo console that's coming out in November for some odd reason. And then they announced a Halo, I think, Elite Series 2 controller, which is also coming out the same time as the console. And then they announced that Halo Infinite, without campaign co-op and all that stuff, but the multiplayer and the single-player campaign are dropping December 8th, which I think, one, I'm so happy they dated it because I think it's probably going to hopefully come out this year now.
Yeah.
But I do think they wanted it earlier. I don't think they would have planned that console and that controller to launch the game a week or two later.
Yeah. Well, it's still incomplete too. You know, I feel like there's probably a lot more work they wish they had time to do on it.
Yes, this is something that I am hoping we don't see it as being rushed out the door, but all signs are pointing to it being rushed.
It's going to end up being like the Master Chief Collection, right? They're going to keep fixing it as they go, and eventually, you know, a year later, it's probably going to be like one of the most amazing games ever made.
Yeah, I worry, like, I still love the Master Chief Collection. I did not have the same problems as all the reviewers, but I worry that if they release it in the state they released the Master Chief Collection, where reviewers still say that game is garbage because of the way it came out, it had some multiplayer bugs, that people will be up in arms and get their pitchforks. So, we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. I wonder if it would have been smarter to push it back. I don't know. I'm just hoping the campaign's fun, and I'm excited to get to play it this holiday.
Yeah. Yeah, me
too. Speaking of things that have been pushed back and why 2022 is seeming to be crazy, especially February, Horizon Forbidden West, they finally clarified that it will not be coming out this year like they had said.
Yeah, we had a feeling that was going to happen, though.
Yeah, we discussed on the show. We knew it was going to happen. It was funny, though, to see them like say, hey, guys, we got some exciting news, blah, 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 blah. And people are like, oh, dude, it's coming out this year. Like, we were all wrong, da-da-da-da, because that rumor was like a month or two old. Like, it's coming out February 18th, 2022. Now, just to put this into perspective, we've already discussed 2 other games coming out February 2022, Saints Row, Sifu, and then you have Elden Ring coming out in January of 2022.
Yes.
So we've got like a ton of stuff all coming out at that same time. Like 2022 is gonna be wild.
It's gonna be off the chain, as the kids say.
Oh, those kids love that chain saying, man, because they all wearing chains.
It's a drip, man. They got that drip.
Now, nice. I like that saying. CNET conflates the Xbox Gamescom showcase that we discussed earlier with the opening night live. So I think the Forza Horizon 5 stuff that they discussed is actually from the previous Xbox showcase. They did talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which does look awesome. And they're adding April O'Neil to it.
Yeah, is that just the old arcade game?
No, this is a brand new one made by the guys who made Streets of Rage 4.
Oh, awesome.
.emu. Yeah. 4-player couch co-op, probably online co-op. I don't know. It would be kind of strange if it didn't have it. And then there's a couple that are sticking out to my mind, but this CNET article doesn't have everything announced at opening night live, so I'm going to go with my brain because I trust a little bit more. Call of Duty Vanguard. They did kind of a long showcase for it, and it looks pretty good. They have a famous voice actor who was in the trailer. Let me see if they talk.
Here, click on. I just sent you a link in the chat. Click on that. That has more of the games on there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I'm a little bit disappointed with this article. It didn't really have stuff. But anyways, this what is it called? Not Valkyrie. The Vanguard. It looks neat. I think it looks good. I know a lot of people are super angry because of the Activision Blizzard stuff that we are, again, not commenting on because we don't have a lot to say. But I think visually it looks good. The campaign sounds like it's neat. I guess a ton of the writers are really cool on it. I didn't get a chance to watch this trailer, so I don't know who the voice actress is. But yeah, I do want to say it's a famous voice actress. So yeah, that's cool. And then they showed the Lego Star Wars Skywalker saga. I guess that's been like 2 or 3 years in the making because it's all of the Lego Star Wars stuff. And actually, I watched the trailer for it. It looks really good. Like I've never wanted to play a Lego game before, but this one looks good.
Yeah, I just got done playing the Lego Hobbit game, which was fun. So it's made me kind of want to dive into some of these other properties a little bit.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's great, man. Oh, another Sony one that we didn't really discuss. This is one of their very few indies that is actually making it out this year. Jet the Far Shore comes out October 5th. I believe it's the Super Brothers games, the guys who did Sword and Sorcery, the old iPad title that everybody seemed to love. There's some neat stuff.
What is this? Is this like this looks interesting?
It looks crazy. I really know very little about it. From what I've heard, it's like an open style exploration game. I don't know if it's going to be for me because that sounds a lot like No Man's Sky, which I do not enjoy playing at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of other little neat things, but kind of the last biggie that they ended the whole thing with, they showed Age of Empires 4 at Opening Night Live, which they didn't show at the Xbox thing, also wild. But they spent a lot of time on the Death Stranding director's cut. And there's like this running joke that Jeff Keighley loves Hideo Kojima. And he was the guy who showed off the original Death Stranding trailer and all stuff. So it is funny that he spent time on what's essentially like a DLC pack with upgrade graphics for a game that came out that not many people cared about. That's released in September.
Well, I mean, they're buds, so of course we're gonna see that coming down.
It is funny though they ended the show with something kind of as weak as that. That wasn't.
Well, right. I mean, during what was it, E3, right? He got, or the Summer of Gaming, he got a whole 15, 20-minute segment on Death Stranding.
Yeah. Now, before we get into a couple things, one thing left from Gamescom, and then you've been talking about Elden Ring, so we do need to talk about that because it wasn't shown at the Opening Night Live, but it was discussed later. At least I don't think it was discussed at Opening Night Live. DokeV. I don't know if anyone saw this trailer. I don't know if the game's going to be good. It's made by the people, Pearl Abyss, who made Black Desert, that weird Korean MMO. But if you have not had the pleasure yet of seeing DokeV, check it out. It is the weirdest DOKEV, capital V. It is
wait, can you spell it again?
DOKE with a capital V. DokeV.
Oh, I see it.
The trailer was mind-blowing. Honestly, it is the best looking game. Put it on, turn off the sound right now. Check it out, old J Squeeze. It's the best looking game I've ever seen, and it has the most animation I've ever seen, character animation and movement.
Jeez.
And it is a game where it feels like anything is possible. It's supposed to be a open world Pokemon-like that was originally supposed to be an MMO, but it sounds like it might just be open world with friends. They haven't really gotten too deep into it. That it looks incredible. Now, I will say I do not like Black Desert at all, so I don't know how much fun that game will be because Black Desert looks incredible and is awful to play. I played on Xbox.
It's an MMO.
They have gone back and forth on whether it is an MMO or whether it is an open world game. So, according to the DokeV website, it is an open world action adventure. There is no discussion of the word MMO. I don't know what it will actually be, but if you get a chance, watch this because we're talking about ultra realistic world with these weird anime looking characters and then these monsters that you can collect and fight, and then pretty much every traversal option you could possibly imagine, whether it's surfing or jet skiing or skateboarding or driving a car or whatever. And just, if you know anything about video game animation, the stuff that's going on there is insane. It is so cool. And the soundtrack, the song that they play during the trailer is killer. I've literally downloaded that song. I love it. It's incredible. Check out DokeV. Honestly, it was my favorite thing outside of them finally announcing Halo, and finally announcing this Marvel XCOM game. DokeV was my favorite thing from Opening Night Live.
We'll have to
legit
keep our eyes on it, see what's what when it comes out.
Yeah, before we get on to the stuff that was discussed at Gamescom but wasn't really part of Opening Night Live, what was your favorite announcement from Opening Night Live? I already told you mine, DokeV, dude. It so cool looking.
Whoa, okay. I don't know, I'm stoked on Halo. It's nice to see Horizon get a release date.
Yeah.
What looked kind of cool, though, was that Giants Uprising game.
So that's something I didn't mention because I didn't watch it and I know nothing about it, so I didn't know how big or small of a game it was. It looks neat, though.
It looks hyper realistic, and I don't know. I've been wanting to play this demo. You're a giant, and you're basically you've been a slave, and then now you're getting revenge. So I want to play the demo. I'm very very curious about this, but the game, the visuals look so beautiful in this game.
Well, you got a high-end gaming PC, and there's a demo now, man. You could play it.
I'll probably check it out. But yeah, that was something that that spoke to me. I want to try it, but other than that,
yeah, the problem is I'm watching this video that you're discussing, and it's a CGI trailer, so I actually don't know what the gameplay looks like.
So I kind of want to go check out the demo.
Yeah, speaking of demos, Tales of Arise, they announced and released that demo alongside Opening Night Live, so you can try that out. I haven't got to try it yet. The Doctor did not seem to dig it, but we'll see. Yeah, it sounds like it might be just another Tales game, which is a bummer because Tales of Arise is the nicest looking one. But yeah, so the other thing, the other kind of like elephants in the room that for Gamescom. But before we get there, let's just discuss Sony's release thing for the rest of this year. They just released Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. They've got Death Stranding Director's Cut coming out in September, which is just, when you're listening to this. They also have Akena, Bridge of Spirits, coming out in September.
Okay.
And they have Jet the Far Shores coming out in October. I just want to reiterate that because we were led to believe this was going to be a crazy year for them. And that, yes, they did have Ratchet and they did get out Returnal, but it is a lot more checked expectations than all of the original dates. Because if you remember, God of War Ragnarok was even rumored to come out this year.
That's right. So they'd given that a 2021 release date. Everyone's predicting December.
Yeah, so just want to throw that out there. That is what PlayStation looks like. We will discuss all of the games coming out at a different date. But let's discuss Elden Ring before we get to the game we've been playing. Let's you've been really interested in this. I'm curious what you saw during Gamescom that is like stoking you out. A bunch of the bigger sites like IGN have had like features about it. You've been discussing with us, what is making you want to play this when you've never really played a Souls or Sekiro or Bloodborne style game?
It's the world, the world looks so fascinating. Like I want to know more about it. Like it doesn't look like a fairy tale. It looks very like dark, like it has a story to it that is truly going to be interesting. I know the George R. R. Martin part, but like, I don't know.
I think his contribution is going to be really light. I just want to throw that out there because we discussed him.
He created the world, but I'm curious about what the story is and like how much of this world I can actually explore. I guess it's aggravating because I know I'm not going to be able to beat this game. Like it's going to come out and I'm going to get incredibly frustrated by it. But it's
And him creating the world, we should also mention that like it's already come out that the creator of all these Souls games, Hidetaka Miyazaki, wrote all of the lore and all of the item descriptions and a lot of the other parts. So we're not actually sure what George R. R. Martin's real contribution is. Yeah. Like they said he created the world, but if you look at that world, it is very similar to all the Souls games. So I am very curious what he did other than being paid to be said that he was on this game.
Yeah.
So, and writing probably the first trailer's dialogue.
It looks, I don't know, there's something about it that's like calling to me and I can't quite explain what it is, but like I want to know more about why this place is so dark, like what happened to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be upfront with you. Elden Ring is my most anticipated game after Breath of the Wild 2. Like I never have finished a Souls game, but I've enjoyed every single one of them I played, and I played a silly amount of Dark Souls 3. I got to the last boss. I just fell off right there finally. And I played a lot of Bloodborne, got almost the last boss there. I played a decent amount of Sekiro. I did not play Dark Souls 2, and I played some of Dark Souls 1. I purchased Demon's Souls, but we've already discussed that on the podcast. I had some issues. So I do like that gameplay, and I love that company. I think they make banger games. So I'm really excited to delve deep into this, but let's just be honest. Like I too, like you, I don't think I'm going to beat it. But after Breath of the Wild 2, it's like the game I'm the most excited for. Like I can't talk highly enough about it. Anything else that stood out to you before we spend a few minutes discussing what we've been playing?
Not particularly. I saw they showed a new thing for Deathloop. I mean, when is that finally going to come out?
Oh, I forgot about that. I didn't mention that. That is a PS5 and PC exclusive. That comes out September 14th. So actually September is the biggest month for Sony. So you guys are in it, man. If you guys are excited, I keep forgetting about that game because to be honest with you, even though I like Arcane, they made Prey, which is just killer. I did not like the concept for this. It's a roguelite. It sounds like it's either a roguelite or a roguelike, and there's also the potential for a human player to be hunting you. I think you can turn them off. But it's like that doesn't sound the most appeasing to me. Is like, oh, there's going to be a person who's trying to kill me the entire time while I'm trying to do these 8 hits in one run. Like I really struggle with rogue likes. Rogue lights, if the progression system's deep enough, I'm always for it. But rogue likes, like, it's a game that I'm hoping my brother-in-law buys, and I will try it out.
You can play it for free.
Yeah, like Returnal, a game that I played one night for 1 hour. I was like, oh, it performs okay. It's not for me, and shut it off and never want to play it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, let's get to it because we don't have a ton of time. Psychonauts 2 came out during opening night live. It came out that same day. It is part of Game Pass. It is also on PS4, not PS5. They didn't give it an upgrade there because that was it. Part of their agreement. It also came to PC. It was originally a Fig crowd-funded game. Do you remember Fig?
No.
Fig was the platform that I believe Tim Schafer was part of creating, where you could invest in games. You wouldn't just like give them money like Kickstarter. You would invest in the titles, and if they made money, you could get money back. Okay. So, from what I've heard from other podcasts and people who have been part of the Fig crowdfunding, that all of the crowdfunders and investors were paid out when Microsoft purchased Double Fine a few years ago. Okay. So that part doesn't affect them. That's on Game Pass, which is good. Yeah. We've seen that problem with Black Widow and Scarlett Johansson, all these other things when we're talking about streaming and people whose income comes to like purchasing things. Psychonauts 2 is a sequel to a 16-year-old game, a 2005 title on the original Xbox, I believe PS2, and maybe even GameCube. I'm not 100% sure about GameCube. It was a Majesco published title. It is a not even linear, semi-open adventure platformer. Not a collectathon like a Super Mario 64, but more of a, you go through the world, you collect some things, and you continue progressing. So yeah, that's what that one was. You've played the original Psychonauts, right?
Just the couple hours I spent on it last week.
Yeah, and we discussed it a little bit. So yeah, it did not come to GameCube. It just the original Xbox and PlayStation 2 and Windows PC.
PC, yeah.
Yeah, so I played some of it as well. I thought it was good, but it was a very old game, So with this, I was just hoping that it was going to be a newer version of that. And give me your thoughts first before I tell you what I think.
I liked it. I mean, I'm about, I'm maybe like an hour in, maybe a little more than that. Then we're in, what's his name? The guy with the shower cap on his brain. We're in his head.
You did not finish the tutorial? You're not out of Lobato's brain yet?
No, that's where I'm at right now. So, but what I've played, I like, it's the having the ability to set things on fire, and I love games where I can dodge and then hit people. So that's been, those mechanics all run very smoothly. The enemy types they're fun, but it's in the training stuff they have multiple enemy types coming at you at once. So that gets a little challenging, knowing like, oh, I got to burn this guy, or I have to duck and use whatever power against this other guy, the push or telekinesis or whatever it is. But I don't know, man. Like, it looks, as far as like graphically, it looks great. Like it looks very like a nice upgrade from the last one, and I can definitely see myself sitting down and playing more of this as we go along. It feels good to play, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like it's like that feeling I got playing Spyro the Dragon as a kid. Like that's what I'm feeling playing this game.
Great. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you've said. I'm about 8 to 10 hours into the game. I'm not exactly sure. I'm quite a bit further than where you are right now. But yeah, it's a fairly linear game. The combat is not its strongest part, but it's not a counter-based game too. Like in the tutorial, they show you like, hey, use this move and it will hurt that. And yeah, it will hurt that guy more, but often I have like a Psy Blast, like a mind shooting ability. And I use that on a lot of the enemies just to keep them at bay. And you can wait for it to recharge. You can upgrade all of your abilities and make them work better. They are limited in what you can upgrade, but each ability has about 4 upgrades, and you collect items to upgrade stuff. You get lots of other abilities. I don't have all of them. I think I'm missing about 2 or 3, but I have most of the ability, or I have a good chunk of the abilities in the game. I am at where the game really opens up, which is after you visit the second person's mind. I don't want to say much more than that, which was really, really cool and neat. But I'm at this point where I'm at in the game. It's very, very open, almost too open in some ways, because I'm not exactly sure where I'm going next. The game doesn't have a great sense of signposting, and there's really no usable map. There is a map in the game. I would not say it is usable. by any stretch of the imagination. It's very neat. It's artistically pleasing, but it's not a usable map.
Yeah.
I love the game. I think the animation is very similar to like Coraline or one of the Tim Burton style claymation films, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, and that's what I said last week too, right? It reminds me of like a 90s cartoon, and it's very clean. As far as the way that it looks, there's not a lot of like rogue pixels going around. It plays very smooth. Like it feels. And the great thing too is like you don't have to play the first game to really understand what's happening, because they give you that nice recap in the middle and kind of just smoothly transition into this game.
Yeah, and there is a famous artist who has a very strange. I couldn't remember his name. I was gonna say the wrong person. It's not Picasso. Boy, what is this guy's name? But it is kind of like a Picasso like person, but there's one who did it perfectly. And that's kind of what the art style is, with these strange, like the nose is in a weird place. The one eye might be higher than the other eye, which is lower. So it's very, very artistically interesting. And I would say the game is very pleasing to look at, and it controls really well. I will say that. I think for a game that could have easily been trash. I mean, this has been in development for 6 years, had loads of issues. Thankfully, Microsoft came in, swooped up, and got them, so they had some money so they could do stuff again. So it now has the feeling of like, hey, we've got something good. So I think it plays well. I think it's very fun. It's pretty funny too, and it's just an enjoyable thing. Honestly, it's probably in my top 5 games of this year.
Nice, that's high praise.
Yeah, I mean, this year has been a little bit weak, as we've discussed. I don't know if it'll hang, but I do plan on seeing it to the end. The only thing that makes me question that is I've heard it's extremely long, like 40 hours long. So
I was just reading. I just looked on Google. People are saying it's like 12 hours.
Psychonauts 2?
Yeah.
That's totally possible.
It says
people
about
are saying
12
hours. Okay, because I am. Let me see where I am. Because I'll tell you.
Are there like side quests you can go and do, or?
There are a lot of side quests. I'm trying to find out. Let me find a walkthrough real quick, and I will tell you, because I have played it for about at least 6, but I think closer to 10 hours. And I am It's really annoying because they make it really tricky to find like a list of like where, like the mission order, if you will, you know? So I'm going to go off of this, which is I am less than halfway through the game.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's possible if you beeline it, because you don't need the upgrades and you don't stop and look at anything and you just keep going, that you'll get there, really quick. But boy, the internet is so poorly designed sometimes, man. I have when you put a Psychonauts 2 walkthrough and they don't have a list of any of the levels or anything going on, and it doesn't tell you anything.
Well, it's probably because they're still playing it. I've encountered that with some games where they have a little bit left, but you can tell they're still like in the middle of putting it together.
I mean, I guess, but a lot of these people already finished the game, so okay. Finally, I found it. So yeah, I am less than halfway through the game, and I've played for about 10 hours. So you could rush it, but I would realistically expect to play about 20, 25 hours at minimum. I don't know who's playing for 12 and finishing it unless you know where to go and exactly where to go, and just go to those points exactly and run through every other part, and don't try to get anything.
Yeah.
Because you can collect things like figments and cards and all these things to get more powers and upgrades, and that's fun. So it would be strange to like play a game like this and be like, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to run through this. And maybe that's your thing. Maybe you just want to see the story.
Some people like that, man,
Yeah. That ain't me. Okay, bro. We will probably talk a lot more about Psychonauts 2. We're running a little bit longer than we both planned. Do you have anything to add before we hit the dusty trail and come back next week with more kind of what we're playing and getting back to the old swing of things?
No, I mean, I'm going to play some more Psychonauts 2 and,
get on my level, bro.
Yeah, seriously. I'll just have to spend some more hours on there, and hopefully I'll be able to dive into some more Games Pass stuff. I know I downloaded a few things. So I'll have to
Did you ever try the
out.
Ascent?
No, I haven't yet. I don't know. I've been waiting for someone to play that with. So I'll check. I'll do a single player. Yeah.
Well, before we do Game of the Year, you should at least try that game. You might dig it. And I think you should do it way before because I don't want it to cloud your judgment. Okay, my bro.
All right. It'd be a nice palate cleanser.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are over and outie. Peace.
Peace.
Oh yeah.